We had not planned to be here today. This was not like a planned surprise. This was an unexpected surprise. Brother Trevor Hayes was going to fill in for us today, and he called me Wednesday, and there was a funeral arrangement, funeral situation they had to be at today. It was in Jeff City from noon to 2 because of COVID. It was the only time the family could do the funeral. It was a family that he really felt like he needed to be there for. And so he called and asked me. Well, he didn't really ask. He told me he was going to be here. So I made a couple of phone calls trying to make arrangements for others to be here, and nothing seemed to come together. So really, it just kind of moved our schedule up about 12 hours. Instead of waiting till Saturday morning, leaving early, we left Friday after our business session. We left about 11 o'clock Friday and drove as far as Birmingham Friday, and got up yesterday and headed out and got home about 5 o'clock last night. So we're not wore out, we're not exhausted. It's been a good week. I missed one service. I wanted to stay, but it wasn't the end of the world by any means. And so we are glad to be here. It was a rather eventful week. The whole week has been one of those of unplanned things that took place. We left here last Sunday afternoon and followed John and Barbara, who were taking the truck down for the food delivery at Springfield on Sunday afternoon. And we've been having trouble. I've been having trouble with my car, vibration. I thought it was tires. Had the last 2 tires put on Saturday, and as we left Sunday, it was still vibrating. So about halfway down there, we stopped to get fuel. I said, John, drive my car and tell me what's wrong with it. And so he did. He drove for a little bit. He said, you've got a wheel bearing going bad. So I thought, oh no. Well, it was Sunday. I began to get my maps out. Okay, where's the 24-hour service? And I didn't want to have any luck. And finally dawned on me, even if I find a mechanic, the chances of him having the right part in his place on a Sunday. So we just kept driving. We got as far as we had planned to get down to Albany, Alabama. Stopped there, and at 7 o'clock, actually by 6:30, I was sitting in front of a mechanic's store, mechanic's place, so that I would be the first one there that morning, and made arrangements, and they couldn't get the part there till 9:30, and so they got the part put on, and finally we got out of there, what was it, about noon morning, nearly noon, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock before we left there. And it was all right, just backed us up some. We got into Orlando a little later than we expected. So that was event number 1. So we got down there Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning we got up, and to be honest, I had a free day. I had a totally free day there, and actually we didn't. Here's the rest of the plan. We had made all our arrangements 2 months ago. You had to get registered in advance. And I had totally forgot that there was a pre-conference conference on Monday and Tuesday that I had signed up to go to. Totally forgot all about it. They made a mention of it Wednesday at the business meeting, or Wednesday, and I was like, oh, I forgot all about that. And it was supposedly spectacular. It was really good. But anyway, so Tuesday, we're headed across town. I'm going to go do the one thing that I really wanted to do while I was down there. I'm not a Florida person. I'm definitely not an Orlando person. But there's a Yamaha dealership there, and I wanted to go look at a particular motorcycle that was, I've been trying to find them. Nobody seemed to have them. So we were headed across town to do that. Made a last-minute lane change in a toll booth, and ran over, if you'll put that picture up there, ran over a pipe in the road. You see that sticking through my brand new, less than a week old tire. Go to the next picture. That doesn't tell the story. That pipe was sticking up inside the wheel that far. So it's about 6 or 8 inches long. In fact, after we took off, I paid my toll and take off with this whack, whack, whack. What it was doing is every time we'd go around, it would push up and hit the wheel inside. So anyway, stopped, we drove, put in to have it, looking for the right place to go where they would honor the tires that I had bought and hot enough. Took us around all the way to downtown Orlando. I've never been in downtown. We drive up in front of the place. It's a corporate headquarters of some place. Not a place to get a tire change. We put the spare on by this time. Found another place, took care of us very well. They actually had one of the exact same tire in stock, which was amazing. I didn't expect that at all. And so anyway, that was incident number 2. And by this time, to say the least, I was thinking, okay, God, was I not supposed to come to this thing or what? I mean, we were having a time. But Wednesday afternoon, I served as a teller at the business session, so we got there early. Normally a teller in a business meeting passes out the ballots, collects all those little paper ballots, takes them to the back, is involved in counting and giving reporting and all that stuff. Praise the Lord. First of all, let me tell you, there were 4,200 voting members registered, over 4,200 voting members present there. So can you imagine counting? What actually ended up in the first business session, I think, ended up being somewhere around 2,000, 2,500 when the votes started coming in. You could tell me people were voting. But still, imagine collecting, passing out 2,000, 2,500 ballots, collecting and counting them. Praise the Lord, they had voting devices, little electronic things like a remote control, and they tell you to vote. You put in your number of who you were voting for, or yes or no vote, or whatever. Send it, and literally in about 15 seconds after they close the voting, they give you about a minute to vote. Boom, it was done. They know the answer. So praise the Lord for that. Being a teller was very easy. It just meant passing these things out, keeping track of them, and all that kind of thing. But I said 4,200 voting members. There were over 7,000 total adults in attendance, visitors and non-voting members. Then there were over 10,000, I don't remember the exact number, plus another 10,000 youth and children. So there were over 20,000 people there in total. The place was huge. Is that the next picture I have up there? Go to the next picture. I forgot my order of pictures. No. So during our business sessions, this is our general superintendent, was voted in 2 years ago, but you probably have no idea who these people are. I have no idea. I thought I'd share a little bit about this. Brother Doug Clay, 52 years old, voted in for another term. This is his wife, as they're just giving their appreciation for being selected to serve. Tremendous leaders doing some great things. As a minister, I am just thrilled to death to have Brother Doug Clay as our general superintendent. He's bringing some youthfulness to it. Not that things were bad before, but just a little bit younger person. The assistant general superintendent was also elected, Brother Rick DuBose, who was put in 2 years ago as well. He has been at several of our district events where he has spoke. A phenomenal, super intelligent, tremendous speaker, a great man of God. Love him to death. I don't know him personally, but I just love the ministry he's had. Then our general treasurer for the Assemblies of God was elected last 2 years ago, and we put in Wilfredo Choco, his name. That's what he goes by, Choco de Jesus. He is Hispanic, obviously, and his wife has served in Chicago, had a large church in Chicago, and 2 years ago at General Council, totally unbeknownst to him, was chosen and put in. That is one of the things about these positions. These men were all serving probably in pastor. Brother Rick DuBose was a pastor in Texas before being elected. So they're elected without talking to their congregations, and so it's kind of a difficult changeover, but doing a tremendous job again. I never heard Brother Choco speak, but I understand that he does a tremendous job. Then one more that was voted on. These are all part of our executive leadership team. Brother Malcolm Burley, who is our U.S. Missions Executive Director, so he's over all the U.S. missionaries. He and his wife, he has been serving, was serving in another part of the missions. Then not selected this time, but continuing to serve. Sister Donna Barrett is our General Secretary, the first woman that was ever 2 years ago selected to be on the executive committee. So she is our General Secretary, oversees all the pastors throughout the United States, their credentialing, and beyond that. And then one other part of the executive leadership, Brother Greg Mundus, who's been serving, I know for at least 2 years, maybe longer than I don't really remember, World Missions Executive Director. So all our foreign world missionaries, He oversees all that. So we voted on those 4 leadership positions. There were many resolutions that were voted on that I will not tell you what they were. There were none of great supreme importance. There was supposed to be a presentation of an updated 16 Fundamentals of Truth that had been reworded to put it in more contemporary English, updating some things, not changing the meaning of any of them. That was not brought up. It was tabled and put off. There were some who, after the resolutions had been mailed out months ago, had read through them and expressed concerns, and so they thought, okay, we need to back up and wait on this for a while, and so that's what they did. So this is kind of what went on. We had business session, service Wednesday night, tremendous service. Wednesday morning, afternoon, we had business. Thursday night, a service. Friday morning, a business session was done by 10:30, which was earlier than expected. We could have went into Friday afternoon. Then there was supposed to be a service Friday night, but because I love being with you all so much, couldn't wait to get home and back to you. Really, I was glad to come home. It was not an imposition at all. We left before that evening service, so I can't tell you anything about it. I wanted to show you just kind of some pictures of what it was all about. I knew there was another something or another that probably got you all blinded just a little bit. It's not that one. Where is it at? It's that one. Does that help a little bit? Get some of the glare off? This is the hall that our services and our business meeting were in. This does not tell the story at all. This is another of the same building, just a wider view. If I stood up there on the platform in the far distance and my back's against the wall while I'm taking this picture, if I walked that whole distance just walking like this, it would probably take me nearly a minute to walk from the back to the front. That room alone is big enough to put this entire building in, the entire gym building in, and that entire building in with room to spare. That's how large the room was. Now, you can see there's a large section that wasn't chairs in. We didn't use the whole thing. It was just an enormous room. Then moving on, this was the what's the right word, Marty? Expo, I guess you'd say. People set up different displays about all kinds of different ministries. There were, as I think I mentioned before, insurance there and signs. But in the back, this is looking into the thing from one part of it. Then I made a little turn to my right. And this room is almost as big as the conference room we were in. Back here, you see the plane up at the top, and the top thing that says World Missions. This back part where you see all the faces behind there is a World Missions display. Go ahead to the next picture. This is the entrance to that. It's just a really neat thing. The journey sent to the world. So you go back inside there. Next slide. And you can see these different places. Africa, so you go back inside there and they've got some things that set up, kind of give you the feel like you're in an African situation. Latin America is the other one in the yellow. The one to the right is Pacific Asia, which is the islands of the South Pacific, basically. Then if you turn to my left, in this picture, you've got Northern Asia, which is basically China. Europe, and then to my left, I didn't get in the picture, is Eurasia, which includes kind of that area, all the Czechoslovakia and the Kazakhstans and the Uzbekistans and all those kind of things. So, but you could go into those and you could talk to missionaries in there and kind of get a feel of the country, and they tell you a little bit about their ministry. It was just a very interesting thing that was there. Then, coming home, I had to show this one last picture. Coming home, we stopped at the Arkansas-Missouri border just to get gas. Had no idea where I was, and I'm about to get my car, and I look out. And if you look up here in the top left hand, right there, it says, "Welcome to Missouri." And if you look over here, it says, "Welcome to Arkansas." So literally, we are sitting on the state line, filling up our car with gasoline. I just thought it was kind of interesting that I could get both of those pictures in one shot. So anyway. So, while coming home, and I'm getting to my message, but these are just some things I wanted to share. While coming home, Marty reads her books while we're traveling, and I listen to things on my phone. I listen to radio broadcasts. I listen to books. I listen to different things. But I was listening to the American Family Radio association to their Saturday morning stuff, and came across, just in listening, this came up from the Christian Worldview. They have 1 hour radio broadcast that they do, and I put this on the screen with this website. Let me give you a little hint. If you'll take out your phone and take a picture of this right now, I want you to go to that website, and I want you to listen in full to this particular program, The Mark, not of the beast, the mark of the vaccine has arrived. Now, this is not a plus or a minus, not to say you need the vaccine or you don't need the vaccine. Not what it's about. It is amazing. Cody, can you play this? Are we set up where we can play this? I wanted to play just a few minutes of this. This is about an hour-long broadcast, but I just wanted to play a few minutes of this if it works.
You can see the energy, the activity in the city again. The jobs.
This is the mayor of New York City.
See it all. And
listen to it.
There's one reason and only one reason. Vaccines. Vaccination has made the difference. This is the whole ballgame, everyone.
Listen.
We're now at this point. We dreamed of it, and now we're going to go farther. We're going to go farther with a smart mix of incentives and mandates, because it's all about vaccination. I've been saying that the last 2 weeks, we're going to climb the ladder. We're going to use every tool we've got to fight the Delta variant and to end the COVID era once and for all in this city. That means more and more vaccinations. And we know that strong, clear mandates help. So we started, of course, with a mandate for our frontline health workers, Health and Hospitals Department of Health, requiring that they get tested or vaccinated. These kind of actions are making an impact far beyond the boundaries of New York City. We're seeing our state and other states like California following suit. We're seeing the federal government follow suit. New York City's starting every time the action. We're setting the pace, and we're going to do that again today with today's announcement.
Well, there could be no more vivid betrayal of what government is at its core than what Bill de Blasio said right there. It's about force, it's about mandates, it's about requirements, it's about compliance, all these words that government uses. And they take pride in it. New York is the first city, we're starting a trend, we're such great people, we're going to kick this virus, we're going to end it, and we're going to do it through these vaccine mandates. De Blasio continues.
So today I announce a new approach, which we're calling the Key to NYC Pass. The key to New York City. When you hear those words, I want you to imagine the notion that because someone's vaccinated, they can do all the amazing things that are available in the city. This is a miraculous place, literally full of wonders. And if you're vaccinated, all that's going to open up to you. You'll have the key. You can open the door. But if you're unvaccinated, unfortunately, you will not be able to participate in many things. That's the point we're trying to get across. It's time for people to see vaccination as literally necessary to living a good and full and healthy life.
Let's stop right
This
there.
is the same way the mark of the beast will be sold.
You hear that? This is the same. This is what I want you to hear in this. Church, if this is not the preparation for the mark of the beast, I don't know what is. Just the words he said. We unlock the city to you through this vaccine. Get the vaccine, and then the key, the pass, the vaccine passport. You get that, and we unlock the city to you. Can you hear the Antichrist? Can you hear him saying those same things? We have a wonderful world. We want to bless you. All you have to do is to get this simple little mark that says you are with us, or I don't know how he would say it, but as I listened to this thing, I was just like, oh my gosh. I was just blown away by what I was hearing. Not the commentators say, what I was hearing de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, say. So I just want to challenge you to go on and listen to all that. If you look up here at the top, it says radio. I can't reach it, but it says radio up there. You'll probably on the website have to click on that and look for this program, the August 7th, 2021 program, the Mark of the Vaccine, and you'll be able to listen to that whole thing. Again, I did not hear all of it. I came in shortly before what you just heard and listened to the rest of it. but I'm going to put their hands on the table and drive a nail through their hand and tell them, if you don't listen to this to my kids, I'm going to not take the nail out. I want them to listen to this because I want us to be aware. Church, it's coming. The Lord is coming. The Lord is coming. Now, I'm not telling you we're going to be here when that mark of the beast comes out, but I'm not going to tell you 100% we're not going to be here either. I don't think so. I don't believe so myself, but it's prophecy. And I can tell you all through history, people have looked at prophecy and thought they knew exactly what was going to happen, and they missed it. But I don't believe we'll be here. I believe the rapture of the church will occur before that comes about. But please, 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 go online. You say, I'm not much of a computer person. See if you can figure it out. You take this simple thing. You type in that www.christianworldview.org at the top of your address bar at the top. You'll come to this screen. Maybe it'll look just a little bit different because it may not have that current program up there. But you go up to the top and you click on radio, and I believe that's where it's at, radio, and then you'll be able to see a list. In fact, it may even be listed down below on the page. It's very, very simple. If you can't figure it out, you can call me and I'll come and show you how to figure it out because I really want you to listen to this. That's all the commercials. That's all the fun stuff. Now we're going to get down to the brass tacks, as I say. Today I want to talk to you about trust versus faith. Trust versus faith. Is there a difference between trust and faith? I believe there is. And I found these definitions on a webpage and I love what it says. Faith is a noun. Faith is something you possess. The Bible says it's a substance or evidence of things that you've hoped for, things that you've not seen. Faith in God is the confident belief that He is the sovereign creator of all things and that He can and will do what He claims to be able to do. That's faith. You believe, you have faith. But trust, on the other hand, trust is a verb. Look here on the screen. Trust is a verb. It's something that you do. It's something that you act upon. Faith always comes first. But trust is never guaranteed enough. We may have faith and never arrive at trust. Now, I hope that's not true, but it's not guaranteed. Trust is a willful choice, a deliberate action that can only grow out of your faith. Trust is the test of faith. Let me say that again. Trust is the test of faith. Yeah, that's much clearer. Boy, just for instance, turn around and look at the screen in the back. That's why we bought a new projector for the front. And we're going to get a new projector for the back so that I can see those other words. Trust and faith. Trust is the test of faith. Let me tell you the story. A story of a man by the name of Jean-Francois Rabelais. I hope I'm saying that right. His English name was Charles Blondin. That's what he was known by as Blondin, not Blandin, Blondin. That's what he was known for in the United States back in the 1850s and 60s. He got the nickname Blondin because he was very fair-haired. It doesn't look that way in that black and white picture, but he was very fair-haired and such. And he had a friend who became his promoter. His name was Harry Colcord. And in this picture, Harry is on Charles Blondin's back. And this story of these two men is a great illustration of the difference between trust and faith. Charles Blondin had been a French acrobat, tightrope walker, acrobat, and he came to the United States and gained great fame in the United States, especially because he stretched a wire, a rope actually, a hemp rope, from one side of Niagara Falls to the other. Very long distance, if you've ever been to Niagara Falls. Stretched a rope across, and this is a poor but an actual photograph of the days back in the 1850s. And he walked across this tightrope, no net, no safety device underneath him whatsoever. All he had was his balancing thing. and he walked across it. It said that there were guy ropes that they had hooked up about every 10 feet on this rope to suspend it, to keep it steady. But in about the middle of the thing, there was an area of 25 or 50 feet, I forget, that they couldn't get the guy ropes to it. So out there, right in the middle, it was very shaky and very wobbly. But he walked himself very steadily across, and actually, when he got across that middle section, it says that he literally ran the rest of the way to the other side the first time that he walked this. But he was the first man, not the only, but the first to do this successfully cross, and on several occasions, not just once. He walked back and forth numerous different times and dates. He did many performances, accomplished things more than just walking across. Now listen to this. I was flabbergasted as I read this story. On one occasion, he strapped a large box camera on his back, walked out on the wire, then proceeded to take the camera off his back, set it up on the rope, and get under it, you can see it, and take a picture of the crowd from the rope. Out over the top of Niagara Falls. He walked backwards across the rope. He walked blindfolded. He did backflips. He pushed a wheelbarrow across it. Many other things. One time he actually took a stove, and it said, it's supposed to be true, this was in the Smithsonian Institute magazine, so a fairly honorable magazine. He actually took a small stove, strapped it on his back, walked out to the middle of the wire, took the stove off his back, balanced it on the wire, lit a fire in the stove, cooked an omelet on the stove, put it on a plate, and lowered it down to the Maiden of the Mist, a boat that comes up underneath the falls, lowered it down to passengers for their breakfast. All while standing in the room. But perhaps the greatest feat of all, and where I want to talk to you about the difference between faith and trust. There were crowds of people there who came because they had faith that Charles Blondin could walk across this rope, and they wanted to see it. But there was one man who had more than just faith. He trusted Charles Blondin to be able to do this. His friend, his manager, his promoter, Harry, what's his name? Harry, I've done lost his name. I'm going to get it here. Is that right? Harry Colcord. I knew it was a C. Harry Colcord, who said that he not only had faith, but he trusted so much so that he got on Harry Blondin's back. There is a picture of it actually taking place. As Harry Blondin walked across and back with Harry Colcord on his back. It is said that Blondin spoke to his manager as they began and said to him, "Look up, Harry. Look up. You are no longer Harry Colcord. You are Charles Blondin. Until I clear this place, be a part of me, mind, body, and soul. If I sway with me. Do not attempt to do any balancing yourself." In other words, you are mine. Stay with me. Stay on. Trust me. Harry Colcord's life was in Harry Blondin's hands completely. That's trust. Faith the crowd had. Harry Colcord had trust. The Bible tells us that God asks us for more than just mere belief, more than just mere faith. God asks us to completely trust Him. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. Understand that He's working in your life, and He will make your paths straight." Trust is the test of faith, and the Bible demonstrates that He requires of us this test in our lives many times. And I want to give you several examples. And what first stirred me to understand this was as I was reading the book of Leviticus a week ago. Leviticus chapter 25, verses 1 through 22. Listen to these words with me. "Then the Lord spoke to Moses at Mount Sinai, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, When you come into the land which I shall give you, then the land shall have a Sabbath to the Lord. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather its crop. But during the 7th year the land shall have a Sabbath rest, a Sabbath to the Lord. You shall not sow your field, nor prune your vineyard. Your harvest after growth you shall not reap, as in to go out and to harvest it all at once, is what it's talking about here. You shall not reap, and your grapes of untrimmed vines you shall not gather, as in to go out and gather them all at once. The land shall have a sabbatical year. All of you shall have the Sabbath products of the land for food. Yourself and your male and your female slaves and your hired men, your foreign residents, those who live as aliens with you, even your cattle and the animals that are in your land, shall have all its crops to eat. You are all, okay, we stop right there. So, they weren't to go out and harvest like you see a combine going through the field collecting all the corn, the wheat, whatever it is at one time. But they could simply go out. They weren't to plant, they weren't to water or take care of the land. But as they needed, they could go out into their fields and gather it for their day, maybe for a couple of days, so they had food to eat. But they were not to plant, they were not to go to, don't be reading ahead. Hey, stay with me because I want you to understand this. The crops would come up on their own. You say, well, hold on, they come up, but they're not planted. Well, if you've ever lived in farm country, you know that there's always spillage. And when it comes, if a field is not plowed and replanted, there'll be plants come up on their own. There'll be corn, beans, I don't care what it is, it's going to grow back. Not in full, not everywhere, but it's going to come up. There'll be spots of it here and there. And so you're together, but not just you. If you own this piece of land, it's not just for you. Anybody can come in. The animals can come in. This is for anybody. Say, hold it for an entire year. Think about this. They lived a subsistent life. They were to live off of what they brought in year by year. Let's continue reading. Verse 8. You are also to count off 7 Sabbaths of years for yourself. 7 times 7 years, so that you have the time of the 7 Sabbaths of years, namely 49 years. On that 49th year then, you shall then sound the ram's horn on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the day of atonement you shall sound a horn all through your land. You shall thus consecrate the 50th year and proclaim a release through the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. You heard the word jubilee? This is where the word jubilee comes from. I remember as a kid, a group used to sing the song, Jubilee, Jubilee, you're invited to our happy jubilee. Everybody ever heard that? Yeah, okay. I remember hearing that every Sunday morning on the television. They had to play that, had that show on. You shall, verse 11, you shall have the 50th years of Jubilee. You shall not sow, nor reap its aftergrowth, nor gather in from its untrimmed vines. For it is a Jubilee